Avoid this fatal mistake and make thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars more per month. And this is something that I have been through with the e-commerce brand that I co-founded in 2013 with my brother. We started from the kitchen bench and it's since scaled in the last 13 years to multiple millions per year. And it's also something that I've had at length discussions with over 200 e-commerce brands that have gone through our paid community, paid program called the Ecom Blueprint. And this topic actually came up on a call with a client the other day. So I wanted to share it and obviously share the lessons and how you can honestly stop losing thousands of dollars by minimizing the sales you could be making. So the question came up around how do I basically maximize my profit or make more profit so that I can use that profit to reinvest into marketing, into product development, into team, for example, getting more help with the business so that I can continue to scale, right? So the real discussion or the question was around margins or profit margin. And it brought us to pricing our products. So there's a few ways that you can basically increase your margins, your profit margins, and think about it really simply or logically. You can reduce your costs. That can be your cost of goods, it can be your marketing, it can be your overheads, there's any cost associated with running the business, or you can increase your prices, right? It goes both ways in terms of expanding that percentage of profit. And where we went with this, after we had that discussion around reducing costs and unnecessary costs, a really important thing to do when running a business is we look at our costs every single month and certainly annually with subscriptions and things like that and see where the leakage is. But when it comes to the easiest way to quickly improve margins, it's increasing prices. And this is a mistake that I see e-com brands make over and over and over, where they just have one price that they thought about in the beginning and they never ever look at it again. So the mistake to avoid is setting and forgetting, thinking that price points, your pricing is set in stone, because I can pretty much guarantee you that if not every year, every even 6 months, your costs on the other end are creeping up, squeezing your margins. It might be from your supplier, your manufacturer, it might be rates and bills, it might be even, phone companies, utilities. You're getting squeezed every which way. And if you don't change something on the other end and pass it on to the customer, then you're the one that's obviously going to be missing out on that. Now, the reason people don't pass on prices or they don't increase prices is because they fear something. They fear that people will reject that new pricing. They fear that people won't buy from them, that past customers will be upset. And sure, this might happen, but the way that I think about it, or the way that I advise people to think about it, is more like using it as an opportunity to create some sort of campaign for the existing people that are in your ecosystem. Hey, we've got to do a price increase. This is exactly why. Here's the cutoff. Obviously get in and stock up before we go and do that. And the other thing too is that we're continually pouring more people into our funnel, right? Our ecosystem. So if you've got ads going, if you're focused on driving new traffic every single day, it'll be a period of like 2-3 days, maybe maximum a week, where people notice that your prices have increased. But beyond that, new people are seeing you all the time, so they don't know what your old prices actually were. So that fear is often in our own heads, and I would say unfounded. And look, we may get 1 or 2 people that poke their head up, but as I say, that's exactly why we do the campaign, to let people know that there's no excuse as to why they didn't know about a price increase. And honestly, once you justify it, you can obviously give them a little discount or something like that, but then they get used to it, and that's just kind of how it is, right? If they want to buy the product, then that's the price point that they actually need to buy that. So this is something that we went through with Karmic, my cold pressed juice company, with my brother at least 3 or 4 times over the journey. Okay, we assess it every 6 to 12 months, and I recommend that you go and do the same. But we've increased, 3 or 4 times over the journey. So the first time was we priced a cleanse pack, which is like a 2-day cleanse pack, for $99. Now, we were just cutting our teeth on in the industry and getting validation, and people were buying. There was no rejection, no resistance to that at any point. And so what we found as we did make more sales and generate more business is that we were too cheap, not just in comparison to the market, but in comparison to, say, our cost of goods. We were running at anywhere between like that 50 to 60% cost of goods to price point, right? So our margins, not including overheads and subscriptions and stuff, were 30-40%, which doesn't leave us much towards the end. So we increased, honestly, we just chose a price point. I think we increased to maybe $129. So we put it up, straight away, basically $30. That lasted again another maybe few years, or even another 12 months till we reviewed it again, and we put it up maybe another $20 or $30, which is quite a significant increase when you think of it on a percentage point. The last one that we did, we actually incorporated a free shipping threshold. Okay, so we had always been priced at at a premium level, which is completely fine. And it does really depend on what market you're in, what niche you're serving in terms of how people are compared to you, okay? Not necessarily you are the same, but how the market perceives you in comparison to a similar product, what they think might be the same. And also your actual price point to begin with, okay? And how much of a percentage, because increasing the price of something that's $99 to $129 is less of an impact of increasing something from $29 to $49, for example. So you need to consider what that actually looks like and do things within reason. But what we actually did, as I say, on that final time was we increased the price by basically the free shipping threshold. This was something that, again, we put a campaign around. We said, now we've got free shipping and you can get it at this rate. But it was just basically implemented because our costs were also going up at the time, and to incentivize people to obviously go over that free shipping threshold, which is what we should all be incentivizing people to do. So they're the circumstances that we did it. And then certainly people within our community and the clients that we've worked with, certainly the same circumstances. You might be priced too cheap, or you might want to be perceived as that premium product. Increasing prices just naturally does that. That's a natural byproduct. If someone's spending more, they're already in the mindset that it's expensive and worth the cost or the value, and they already have an enhanced experience, which is incredible psychological purchasing power that we have as business owners. So particularly if you haven't been through a price point before, typically we look at what should I price my things at, and you kind of look at the competitors, look at what they're doing, and maybe might undercut them a little bit or sit somewhere in the middle. That's typically what we do as business owners. So when we can come up with when we do review pricing, we want to be really, bold and robust with what we actually then land on, because at the end of the day, it's a subjective opinion and our choice as to what we increase the prices to, which for some people, honestly, feels a bit kind of dishonest, let's be honest, but it's far from it. Okay, you're basically just charging what's worth, and so that you can, again, flood your business with more cash flow to create a better experience, create more marketing, add in little things that enhances the experience nonetheless. It's all about the value trade for what you give them, okay? Not necessarily about the cost, or they're gonna lose that money from buying your product. We can't think about it like that. You always have to be in the mindset that your product is worth way more than actually what you're charging, right? And if you don't believe that, then you need to change your mindset around what you're selling and how you can provide even more value, at least even from a perspective. So that's kind of the first thing, is that we don't want to have any guilt around increasing prices. It is what it is. We're running a business, and if we don't increase prices, we're going to go out of business, all right? Then no one's going to be happy because we can't supply them. So if you are just kind of at that starting point, a good way to think about where you're priced right now is what I call the blue sky. So even if you have to undercut the market to get validation and get initial customers through the door, then we want to know that on the other side of that initial price point, we can squeeze more margin in another way, whether it's that price increase or whether we can reduce those costs, meaning our cost of goods, especially, right? That might be the circumstance where you get economies of scale with your stock, for example. If I price it at $100 and my cost of goods are $50 right now, I know that when I go up the level of ordering, the quantity of ordering, that my cost of goods will go down to 45, for example, or 40. If you have that blue sky, if you know that there's something waiting there for you once you have the validation and the cash flow to come through, then you can have a bit of comfort with the current price point that you've got, that you can actually recoup it or more profit when you order more. So that's the economies of scale. And that's something that we did with Karmic as well, right? When we started out and we needed bottles, for example, for our juices, well, firstly, we went to, we sold things immediately when we had someone interested, that we went to the supermarket and got plastic bottles and drank the soda water and filled it up with juice. That was our very first bottles. But when we sourced some new bottles from somewhere locally, it was about half an hour drive away, we were paying basically retail price for our bottles, and they might have been at $2 or $3, for example, maybe even more than that. But we knew our blue sky was that when we order boxes and then we get a container of bottles, that was our economies of scale. We knew that we were going to recoup some margin even before we looked to actually increase the price point. So if you know that your suppliers will offer you that right now, or there's other options out there, then that should give you comfort at the price point that you're currently at, and that yes, you can look and review your pricing every now and then, but also that you have the opportunity to reduce your cost to increase your profit margins. So the real lesson that I want you guys to take from this, and something that I shared with my clients the other day, was that it never feels like a good time to increase prices. prices. Just never does. Like, we're honest human beings. We don't want to feel like we're stitching people up or gouging in terms of our pricing, and things are comfortable when things are working. But it's an economic factor that we have to consider when we increase prices. If you want to increase our profit margins, the obvious thing, the fastest thing to do that is to just increase our prices literally in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes overnight, and just try that out. So there's never going to be a good time to do it. Just understand that. What does that mean? There's never a bad time to do it. You just have to go and do it. And this is, again, the advice that I gave my client in this circumstance. We look for the next kind of maximum optimal price point, and you can keep pushing it up incrementally. Like, even if every 6 months you're pushing up your price point, you're gonna find what I would call that ceiling of what people are prepared to pay, or what offers you can possibly do, all right? Now, this is the other important thing. Everything's reversible. So you can put it up tomorrow, give it 30, 60, 90 days of testing, and then if there's evidence that conversion rates have dropped off, average order values have dropped off, orders generally have dropped off, you can change things back. We had a client, Kirk, who came in and did that. He's selling chair caps, and he actually went from 20K a month to 80K a month in the program. But what he did midway through, was he started to increase his prices, and he was selling chair caps, chair tips, which the price point of these things were like $1.50, right? So suddenly he went up to say $2.50. I mentioned before the proportion, and it was too far. Like, within 30 days, his sales had actually dropped off. His number of orders, his cost per acquisitions were going up as well. And he realized that it was his price point. So he pulled it back another 50%, and suddenly the floodgates opened up again. Okay, so knowing that, having the mental power that there's never a good or bad time to do it, so just do it, but also that everything is reversible, is really powerful for us. Really powerful for us as business owners to be able to experiment and test with certain price points. All right, but by far the most effective way to increase your margins, your profit, so you can basically pump that back into the business, is to increase your prices. So this is hopefully a reminder for you, or a call to action. Go and review your pricing. Go do yourself a favor and increase them today, right? You'll thank me for it, hopefully. But you need to review it every 6, and I'd say to maximum every 12 months, because your costs are going up, inflation, inflationary factors. But also, if you want to stay in business longer term, you need to be stacking as much cash and profit as possible. So as long as you can still sell your products at the higher price point, it's just cream on top that you otherwise wouldn't get. And as I said, this recoups thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for the clients that I speak to about this in our paid mastermind communities. All right, so look, I really hope this was valuable for you. If you want to know more about what we do, there's a link below. You can have a look and see if our program might be right for you. You can book a time to chat if you really want to. Obviously, you don't have to click on the link, but just if you want some more information about what we do and how we help people scale their e-commerce businesses to their first 10K to 100K per month. No worries if not, of course. If you like this video, give it a like, give myself a subscribe, and feel free to write any comments down below about anything you want to know more about e-commerce. I'm making these videos all the time. But other than that, thanks so much for being here. Genuinely appreciate you watching towards the end, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.